When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's.
The right seat.
Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
This is Sunday Rewind.
Take it back now, y'all.
Put my thing down, flip it and reverse it. If I could turn back time.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Now, here are your hosts, Tom Stevens and Mike Melby.
Welcome in, kids. It is the third edition of the Sunday Rewind. Tom Stevens here, Mike Melby there, former voice of the Lincoln Stars. How are you, Mike?
Doing well, Tom. How are you?
I'm good. How was your week?
It was awesome. Kind of out and about around town a couple of times. Had some nice hot days, had some nice cold days. It was a couple of different seasons going on this week here.
That's right. Well, we got all of it. And you're going to get all of it. Full hour of whatever happened in Husker land and some national sports going on as well. We'll talk about the PGA Tour. Let's get going. Let's get to the starting gate. All right. Here we go.
You ready?
I am so ready.
Okay. On Monday, Jack Nicklaus says that the Saudis offered him $100 million to be the face of Live Golf before they went after Greg Norman. He said, no, I helped create the PGA Tour back in 1968, so I'll pass. Joe Buck and Troy Aikman announced that they're going to be headed to ESPN to take over Monday Night Football. Kind of a slow day in sports on Monday. Tuesday, Miami beat Boston in the NBA playoffs. NHL, Tampa Bay, and Colorado both won. Husker Hoops lands TCU transfer Emmanuel Bandamel, 6'4", 180-pound guard out of is it SMU or TCU?
It's SMU.
It's SMU. Why did I put TCU? I was like, wait a minute.
Why.
Yeah, that's operator error.
Lat Mayon was from TCU.
Very true. Very true. He started 68 of 80 career games, 10.6 points per game, 3.8 rebounds, 36% from the field, 35% from three. Wednesday in the NBA, Golden State won. In the NHL, Carolina and Calgary won. And then on Wednesday, Nick Saban roasted Jimbo Fisher, Texas A&M, Miami basketball, and Jackson State and Deion Sanders when he went on an absolute rant talking about how they paid Jackson State and Deion paid Travis Hunter $1 million, mentioning the Miami basketball, Nigel Pack, K-State transfer. They paid him $400,000 to go to Miami, and then he lit up Jimbo saying they bought their entire recruiting class. Well, Jimbo fired back on Thursday. It was awesome. Nebraska baseball lost to Michigan, which pretty much ended, well, it didn't end it, but that was kind of the catalyst for what ultimately happened. We'll talk more about that on the show. It is now over. Rory McIlroy shoots a 65 to lead the first round of the PGA Championship. Tiger shot a 74. Thursday, it was announced Biletnikoff Award winner Jordan Addison transferred from Pitt to USC. NBA winner was Boston, NHL, Tampa Bay, and St. Louis. Friday, Golden State won in the NBA, NHL, Carolina, and Edmonton, both first round of the NCAA tournament. Regional, Nebraska baseball bounced back 1-6-3 against Michigan. Will Zalatoris led the PGA at 9 under after Friday's round. Saturday, early voting with Jose Ortiz won the Preakness at 5-1. Epicenter, the favorite, with what I thought was a horrible ride by Joel Rosario, wound up second. NU baseball hung on for a season-ending 10-9 win over Michigan State, but will miss the Big Ten tourney. They end the season at 23-30 and 10-14 in the conference. Nebraska softball loses twice on Saturday. They are now done as well. They finished the season 41-16. And Mito Pereira won heading into today's drama that has just
out.
unfolded.
He's
now out.
He's out of the playoffs. He double bogeyed?
Double bogeyed 18.
Double bogeyed 18. He needed par
to win.
Or at least a bogey to get into a playoff. And now you've got Will Zalatoris going with Justin Thomas in a playoff at the PGA. So it's rapid fire. It's a full hour of just like go. And that's why we have Mike do that, the starting gate, and kind of demonstrate the topics that we'll deliver. Let's start with Husker baseball to lead off the show. You mentioned the season is over. Weird way. Of course, the whole season was weird for Nebraska baseball, but they win against Michigan State. They win the series, but they're out of their own tournament in Omaha. The Big Ten tournament, of course, played at TD Ameritrade, I should say, Park every single year. This year, Nebraska will not be in it. Weird way for it to end. Nebraska had the big lead. They end up winning 10-9 as Purdue Michigan State made a big comeback in that game. But Nebraska will not be playing, as we mentioned, in Omaha due to Purdue not playing their final game against Maryland. It's so weird. I mean, they had an opportunity to play a doubleheader Thursday night. They could have played a doubleheader Friday night. They could have gotten the actual game in had they just upped the starting time to maybe 10 or 11 a.m., but they decided not to do any of those things. They wait till the rain comes in. Purdue, via the cancellation of that final game versus Michigan or versus Maryland, now goes to the Big Ten tournament. It's such a weird thing that happened there.
It was, and then you look at Nebraska waiting last week, waiting out the super long rain delay in a game they ultimately wind up losing. So if they don't play that game, then it would have been meaningless, and Nebraska with the win yesterday would have gone to the Big Ten tournament. Will Bolt made the comment, maybe this is just the way it was supposed to end. I mean, just a weird year.
Yeah.
Again, you and I have talked about this. We think that Will has got the right staff in place. He's got everything that he needs to succeed here. I know he'd like to have a little bit better facility, and it sounds like there's, chances that could be coming in the not too distant future, but, all belief with Will. Next year's recruiting class, 9 junior college players, 7 high school players to try to fill in some of the void of, I'll be honest, the void that existed this year was clutch. They had talent, but the clutch wasn't there.
No.
And then the errors really kind of compounded. I get it. The injuries sucked. But the thing that I would assume the team was most frustrated with was the errors.
Yeah, well, you had a guy that never made it in there at shortstop in Spencer Swellenbach. And then he hit big home runs. And if he ever came into the game, and that was a lot, actually, to close games, it was over. Those games were always over if you had Swellenbach on the mound late in games. And Nebraska, as we know, lost a lot of leads late. They could have used a guy like Spencer Swellenbach. They had injuries. They booted a couple of guys from the team. It was just a weird year. They finally end up the season yesterday after the win against Michigan State, 22-30, 10-14 overall, but they miss the Big Ten tournament. As you mentioned, Will Bolt said, in a lot of ways, it just feels like a very fitting way for this season to end, and it does. I mean, let's face it, they probably weren't going to win the Big Ten tournament. They weren't playing great baseball. They had the big lead against Michigan State and almost blew that. So I'm not blaming Purdue necessarily. I think it was a little weird that they did that. Like,
it's kind of
just like if we just hold out a little longer and don't do anything, things will work out in our favor. And they did for Purdue.
And the other weird thing is it didn't rain without lightning for an hour after the opening pitch start time, but they chose to wait on. I mean, it was,
and they may not. They probably wouldn't have gotten 5 in. They might have gotten 5 innings in. Who knows? To make it an official game. But they, as I mentioned, Thursday night, they could have played a doubleheader. Friday night, they could have played a doubleheader. Saturday, they could have gone early.
Yeah.
But they decided not to. But that's not the reason that Nebraska's not in the postseason. It's just aggravating and probably fitting that the season ends the way it does. Nebraska softball, after winning the Big Ten tournament, falls, as you mentioned, twice in the first game to Oklahoma State on a big error that really was costly for Nebraska. And then they fall 3-0 to North Texas. And now they're out of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah. And I think it was one of those where you hear coaches say it all the time. Don't let one loss cause you to lose twice. And I have to think Nebraska's in pretty solid position. They've got a 2-1 lead in the fourth inning. They got one out, and there's an errant throw that allows a run to score, which ties the game. That would have given them the second out. But just the fact that you let the number 9 hitter on base, who would have been the second out, really seemed to be the crack in the foundation that caused the rest of the day to unfold like it did. From that point on, they got outscored 9-2, I believe, for the rest of the day. And it just seems like that one play kind of was the catalyst. But, the person that made that one play, if it wasn't for her, they wouldn't have won 41 games this year. She was one of the best players in not only the Big Ten, but the NCAA as well. And it's just unfortunate. And you know what, though? Props to Rhonda and all the gals. It was a hell of a season. And to come back after everything that went sideways a few years ago with that program and be in the NCAA tournament and literally just have a weird one bad play kind of, in the season, whatever. Major props to those guys. And you really, truly hope that things are back on the right track with softball.
Rhonda Revelle is a Hall of Famer. She's the all-time leading wins leader in any program history at the University of Nebraska. I think I read that.
Yeah, she's got like 1,061 victories now.
She's got 20 postseason appearances, like 7 or 8 conference titles. She's a Hall of Famer, but she did go through a lot of crud. It looked like for a while Bill Moose might let her go. There was a team revolt, and we remember those from time to time in Husker history. Danny Nee had one of them. Connie Yori had a little bit of one of those, and that led to the firing of Connie Yori a ways back. And Rhonda Revelle looked like this might be the end. When players revolt like that, it looked like it was the end. And now, that's a nice comeback story for Rhonda Revelle.
Well, it really is. And I'm going to throw this back to somebody that actually is now on the air here on 93.7 The Ticket that lived through one of the revolts you just mentioned. Eric Strickland was on that 99 team for Nebraska that ultimately went on to win the NIT championship, which ultimately made Tim Sheridan drink iced tea out of Eric Strickland's sock. Yeah. So
did he get it all down? I mean, did he actually drink it out of the Eric Strickland's sock?
He actually did. It was pretty comical. If there would have been cell phones at that point with good cameras, this would have at least tens of views on YouTube.
How did that happen? It was like Tim saying, if you guys make the NCAA tournament, I'll drink out of your sock.
At the time, you and I would go to practice on occasion. It wasn't nearly as difficult to get into practices at the Devaney Center back then. And I got to know some of the guys. I was running a gas station in downtown Lincoln. And so I had a couple of connections, and I think I was filling in for the Animal or something on a morning show. And Tim made a comment about the team, and they suck and they're going to lose and blah, blah, blah. And I said, I'll bet you they win the tournament, the NIT tournament. He goes, if they do that, I'll drink tea out of Eric Strickland's sock.
That's a great story.
And so, he did.
So he did it. The Pga Championship is going on. This is the first time they've had a playoff in a long, long time.
Yeah.
At the PGA Tour Champion. I don't know when the last time was that they did. And Mito Pereira, all he needs is a par on 18, and he is the winner of the PGA Championship. Can't do it at Southern Hills in Tulsa. In fact, he double bogeys the final hole. It's really heartbreaking to see that because he made so many clutch putts throughout the week. A little heartbreaking for that guy. But you looked at the leaderboard and you thought, there's nobody, at least going into the day, there's nobody on that board that's ever won a tournament, let alone a major, aside from Justin Thomas, who does make it in to the playoff with Will Zalatoris. And Will, even though he's never won a tournament, he's always been right around some of the leads in some of these, at the Masters or wherever he's playing in big tournaments. The guy is obviously really, really talented and is going to win a major, and maybe today.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it was so weird as you and I were talking earlier today, and we're, little texts here and there. And it was one of those that I think we all threw out. If somebody posts a number in that 5 or 6 range, then you've got the younger guys looking at that number, knowing now what they need to beat. That might be enough pressure to cause one of those guys to falter, and it happened to Pereira. Mito Pereira had a 3-shot lead coming into the day, gave 2 of them back pretty quick. But then it looked like he was poised on 17. He could have had a 2-shot lead. He had a 12-foot putt for birdie on 17 that if the ball rolls 1/2 revolution more, it's in the hole.
I thought it was in.
Yeah, so did I.
I mean, it was one of those, if you breathe on it very hard, like if you blew on it, it would have gone in the hole.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, one more revolution, it goes in the hole, and then he wins. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind he would have won. He probably would have been a little safe. He had an extra stroke. He would have had an extra stroke on 18. Probably hits an iron off the tee. Instead, he hits it in the water on 18.
Well, but that's the other weird thing is they were talking to Joaquin Neiman, who I believe is his fellow countryman that was, I think he finished at 2 over for the championship. But they were talking to him throughout the day, and he said he's very comfortable. He doesn't care about taking risks. It's the way he lives his life. And I thought it was kind of a poor choice to hit driver off the tee on 18.
The swing was so weird. I mean, he has got a different swing anyway, but he went after it at the bottom and it was like a guy that knew that if he hits a great drive on 18, he's probably going to win the PGA Championship and just go, oh! Yeah. I mean, it's like it takes some guts. I mean, I've always thought that was a weird statement that it takes guts to win. It really does.
Yeah.
It takes some guts to stand up and hit the 8-foot putt to win, or to hit a drive on 18 down the fairway, because your mind is telling you everything but anything about, winning. It's telling you all about losing at that point.
Yeah. And at that point, to me, hit a 3-wood. I mean, go to a 5-wood.
And he's a bomber.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have, he's probably thinking it's the hardest hole on the course. Probably. I haven't seen anybody. I don't think anybody birdied 18. Maybe they did. A couple of birdies probably in the early groups today.
He was the only one that birdied it, or one of only 2 yesterday.
And Justin Thomas had a 10-footer, and if he makes that, he's the PGA champ right now.
He had one on 16 earlier that was only about 6 feet that just barely missed. But my point for Pereira on the 18th tee is play for a playoff at worst. So hit your 3-wood, hit a 5-wood. And then you've got a little bit longer iron going to the green. Who cares? Don't take any chance. Don't bring double and put it on the table like it could happen. And that's what he did by hitting driver.
I know what you mean, but if you're his caddy, you're thinking if he gets in the playoff with Justin Thomas and Will Zalatoris, he's not going to win. He's got to hit a great drive, probably the drive of his life, and then the greatest second shot of his life, and then probably a couple of great putts, and then he can win it. I mean, I know what you're saying. Play for the playoff, but you can't really think that way.
I get it. I'm saying at worst. I mean, you still want to par the hole,
right?
But don't try to birdie the hole.
It's a great PGA Championship. I thought at the beginning of the week the rough was too short. It was playing too easy. But the scores have not dominated this course by any means. We saw Tiger post plus 12 and then withdraw from this tournament. We saw Phil not even show up, not because the course is playing too hard, but because he's obviously in a fight with the PGA Tour right now. And I know you wanted to talk about this. The 2 biggest names in golf are Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson. Mm-hmm. Phil Mickelson won the PGA Championship at the age of 50 just last year.
Yep.
There was maybe no bigger hero in sports than Phil Mickelson at that time. I mean, I became a Phil fan, and I never liked him. I was a Tiger guy. But he was at the top of the world. And then it comes out that he's lost $40 million from 2010 to 2014, and he wants to join this Saudi Golf League because he needs to pay off some gambling debt or whatever is going on with Phil Mickelson. It's going to be tough. I mean, I would probably watch this damn league if there's star power. Let's face it. We watch Tiger. There's a reason they show Tiger when he's plus 12 on TV. We watch the stupid stuff knowing that he has no chance to win. So I might watch this Saudi league. And the star power does matter because I don't know how many people are really watching. I mean, we're big golf fans, right? We're going to talk about golf.
Yeah.
And maybe there are others in our audience. By the way, 464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline, Sunder Heyman text line, same number. Love to hear from you, or you can call the show. We're big golf guys, but I would imagine there's a lot of people out there that hey, no Phil, no Tiger, no me. I'm not watching. You think? Yeah.
I completely agree. And to land, Tiger's not going anywhere. Which is, it's funny because if you go back 15 years, when the PGA Tour was running their normal promos when, in the late 90s and early 2000s, and they would put Tiger in there, Tiger was upset. He's like, you're using me to promote your league. And they're like, but our league is giving you the opportunity. So deal with it.
Right. Yeah.
And then here we are 20 years later, and Phil is, he's burning his own house down. So
I would, I'm sure there are going to be, I know there are already a few books about what happened with Phil and the gambling debts. And let's face it, Phil has always been one of the most popular players on the tour with fans. He's been one of the least popular guys with the players. The players have never loved Phil. He's a complicated individual. But he has the whole thing. What, Arnold Palmer taught him, always do the signings, always make sure that you look good on the camera and make sure that you are friendly with the fans. And that's worked for Phil. Phil's always been one of the most popular players on tour with the fans, but not the players by any means.
Well, I think there's a lot of stories out there.
Mm-hmm.
Phil's a guy that when the cameras are on, he's Phil Mickelson. And when the cameras are off, it's none of your business what his name is.
Right.
And there's, it's the tin cup.
It's exactly the tin cup thing.
Don Johnson's character. I can't remember what his name was now, but that's when the cameras are off. He hates dogs. He smokes and he hates old people and kids. That's all there is to it.
I think he's even more complicated than that. I think he definitely loves a lot of people, but he's just complicated. He's just a weird dude. And I'll miss him if this is it for Phil Mickelson. We have a lot to talk about on this show. This is just the first 20 minutes of the Sunday Rewind. I do want to talk about the feud between Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher because it's fantastic. I think college football needs more of this stuff. I'm all in. Because it has actually affected Nebraska as well because the debate is over name, image, and likeness, and you wonder how many guys would they have gotten in the offseason? Would they have gotten a Casey Thompson? Would they have gotten an O'Shawn Mathis without name, image, and likeness? So it does affect what Nebraska is currently doing under Scott Frost as well. We'll talk a little Husker hoops. They did pick up one final recruit, it looks like, for Husker hoops. I guess you never know with Fred Hoiberg over the first couple of years. It always seems like they're adding guys to the roster, but we'll talk about that. Sam Cook has retired. Wow. The best punter in Nebraska football history in my mind, and one of the best in NFL history. We'll talk some NBA playoffs. We do want to mention something that is coming up, Nebraska Gems. It's a podcast devoted to Nebraskans, really cool Nebraskans shining the light on entertainers, in politicians, teachers, everyday people. I think it's going to be a podcast that resonates with a lot of people. We'll have a lot of names that you'll know on Nebraska Gems and a lot that you don't know.
And one of them that I have scheduled to do an interview with next Wednesday, Jim Abbott, and his family owns James Arthur Vineyards. And looking forward to the story, the From Nebraska gift shop in the Haymarket at 8th and Q. Mm-hmm. They've got the James Arthur Vineyards tasting room in there. I was in there last week and was blown away on how they got it all set up. And that's going to be, like I said, it's people you may not know. You may not have known who owned it. Well, we're going to let you know on Nebraska Gems. It's going to be pretty cool.
And I think the ticket's been very gracious in letting us or helping us promote Nebraska Gems and the Rewind, which we'll do every Sunday during the football season. By the way, we're going to go to 2 hours. Football, basketball season, we're going to go to 2 hours with this show.
Which means we get a whole day to build up our rants.
That's right.
Good or bad.
Yeah, it won't be hard either way, good or bad. But we've got lots to come. It is the Sunday Rewind. He's Mike Melby. I'm Tom Stevens, back with more after this.
Hey, Steve. Welcome to Great Clips.
Great Clips asks, what's the difference between good and great?
Come on back and have a seat.
Good asks you what haircut you'd like.
I have all your details from last time. Would you like the same haircut today?
Great already knows. With Clip Notes, we save your haircut details so you can get the same thing as last time, every time. Download our online check-in app today. Great Clips. It's going to be great.
Naloxone is a drug used to safely reverse an opioid overdose and is now more readily available in Nebraska. I'm Dr. Rob Rhodes, a Nebraska family practice physician. I encourage you to learn how to respond to an opioid overdose and administer naloxone to potentially save a life by getting the free Opie Rescue app for your phone. Be Opie ready. Download Opie Rescue.
Paid for by the CDC. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services and aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric ensures our home and office HVAC systems run smoothly throughout the year to provide maximum comfort and convenience. Routine maintenance reduced our operating costs just by improving the efficiency of our unit. Consider a maintenance agreement to ensure you too receive priority for services and scheduling. This helps meet manufacturer warranty requirements. Action delivers honest quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Hello, I'm Charlie Stone, back with the latest news from Honda of Lincoln. Joining me now is the general manager, Andy Goodyear. Hey, Andy, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Charlie.
Hey, Andy, with spring right around the corner, how is your supply of new Hondas and pre-owned vehicles?
Really good, Charlie. As I've said before, when you drive by our lot, you don't see what you're looking for, just remember we have hundreds of new Hondas arriving soon, with Honda continuing to offer 0.9% APR financing to qualified buyers. Plus, we have over 125 pre-owned vehicles in stock and ready for immediate delivery.
That's great, Andy. Any more great news?
There is, Charlie. Honda just announced financing from 0.99% APR on certified pre-owned Hondas for qualified buyers.
So come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill Road or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
You know you want that smoky, tangy, sweet, and spicy sauced and tossed Wingstop, but you just brought a haul of groceries home from the store. It's cool. No one expects you to shop and cook in the same day. So let the flavor experts at Wingstop hook you up with mouth-watering wings, crispy tenders and thighs, fries and sides delivered to your door. You can always cook tomorrow. That's why the fridge was invented. Get it delivered at wingstop.com.
Order online now from the new Wingstop located at 5001 O Street.
Landmark Implement, your local John Deere dealership, is searching for mechanics of all skill levels to grow with us. Landmark offers a competitive wage, full benefits package, along with paid time off within just 60 days of employment, as well as a 401k and a boot and clothing allowance. Interested in becoming a part of the Landmark difference? Apply now at landmarkimp.com/careers or contact Deanna 402-310-7561 or email careers@landmarkimp.com. That's landmarkimp.com. Landmark Implement is an equal opportunity employer.
This is the Sunday Rewind on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
And welcome back to the Sunday Rewind. I'm Mike Melby. That is Tom Stevens right here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. In this past week, let's see, Nebraska softball, baseball, their season's both in. Nebraska picks up a basketball recruit. Nebraska football had 3 recruits for next year that were pretty big names on campus. A receiver they could get this year. And on Wednesday, Nick Saban went off. He went off on Texas A&M football and Jimbo Fisher. They bought their entire number 1 ranked recruiting class.
Yeah.
By the way, this is out of control because Miami just brought in a basketball player for $400,000. Look it up. It's in the paper. And what about Jackson State? They paid a kid who could have been a pretty good Division I player $1 million to go to their school.
Yep.
And then on Thursday, Jimbo fired back. And it was unbelievable. So Fisher essentially says it's despicable and it's disgusting what Saban accuses them of, that everything that they do is ethically right and they don't break any rules, and they never have, even though he's been accused, I think, prior to or right at the beginning of NIL of doing essentially the same thing by another coach. And He said he thinks he's God.
Yeah.
It's his narcissism. The fact that he didn't sign the number one class, he can't handle that. So he goes on a rant, and it was I saw the 4-minute highlight of it, and then I saw the full 10-minute version of it. Just a fantastic rant. And the thing is, in my opinion, both of them are 100% right at being 100% wrong. You two cheat more than anybody else in college football prior to NIL. And now that the playing field is leveled, you're pissed at everybody for accusing you of cheating when it's now legal to cheat.
Saban is obviously, he feels threatened by Jimbo Fisher, who signed 5 5-star prospects in their class of 2022. It's believed to be possibly the greatest recruiting class ever assembled. And Fisher has some bragging rights in that he beat Saban this year, and maybe cost Alabama still played in the championship game, so it didn't cost him a national title. But they brought in 20 players ranked inside the ESPN top 150. It was legitimately a fantastic class, and again, 5 stars. Nebraska's had maybe 2 5-stars in the history of their program, 2 or 3. Somewhere in that neighborhood. This is one class.
Baker Stankalura and Marlon Lucky are the 2 that come to mind.
Aaron Green, I think, was a borderline 5-star running back out of Texas.
Yep.
You're right.
He was relatively good at TCU after he transferred, but still not great.
And there have been I think Tyreek Johnson is a 5-star, but he didn't come out of high school for Nebraska, and he was at Ohio State previous to that. But nonetheless, this is a great class, and they did it because now they're legally able to pay players to come to their school, millions of dollars.
The collectives are.
The collectives. Nebraska, by the way, has a collective. It's ABA, whatever that is, run by John Bruning and those guys. They think they do it the right way. Nick Saban thinks he is doing it the right way. He's accused Jimbo Fisher of maybe doing it the wrong way. I don't know what the right way or the wrong way is. I know Bryce Young has made well over $1 million, and he's only a sophomore and he won a Heisman last year. For Nick Saban to say that another coach is buying, it's really laughable. It's Coke and Pepsi fighting against each other. These are the best of the best as far as, Jimbo Fisher has his own national title, even though he was at Florida State at the time. But I do believe that Saban feels threatened. He had the number 2 recruiting class in the country. Poor baby.
Exactly.
But he also did single out. He singled out Jackson State. They brought in a 5-star as well. Travis Hunter is his name, and paid him $1 million to attend the school. Deion Sanders has denied that. So I guess whether it's true or not, it remains to be seen. But they got him to campus because of name, image, and likeness for sure. I mean, no previous time that I can ever think of has a 5-star player gone to a school like Jackson State.
Well, and he's not even just a 5-star. He was almost literally on everybody's recruiting rankings. He was the number 1 player in high school football last year.
Yep. Yeah. So it points to, for me, it points to, once again, this is the wild, wild west. It's out of control. Maybe you like it out of control. Maybe you don't think anything needs to be changed. But I've said college football needs a college football czar.
Yeah.
They need somebody to regulate the sport. I think when the NCAA tries to regulate these things, they're laughed at, especially by the Nick Sabans of the world.
Well, it's because usually when they try to put a bite on somebody, when they violate NCAA rules, the NCAA forgets to put their dentures in. And so there's not a whole lot of oomph behind the bite. Right. I like your football czar of the NCAA, and I want to nominate Barry Alvarez.
Barry Alvarez. Because you trust him.
He's a guy that I think always believed and had the best interest, much like T.O.
He would be a guy that's not in favor of name, image, and likeness, by the way.
That's fine. It's not going away.
It's not going away.
It's not a dictatorship where he gets to come in and he's the only one that makes rules. But at the same time, if he's against it, he's going to figure out the best way to police it and give it some guardrails, because right now you literally are you're at the Bonneville Salt Flats, and you don't have to go in a straight line. You can just go as fast as you want to.
Right. Well, we just had Jordan Addison leave Pitt because they didn't pay him. We don't have a collective. We don't even know what that is. What's a collective? We're Pittsburgh. I'm sorry. I know you won the Bolitnikov. I know you're the best wide receiver in football, but we can't give you anything but our love. Is that good enough?
Yeah.
No, it isn't. I'm going to USC. So he's benefiting from name, image, and likeness. He's going to go play for Lincoln Riley. He's going to go play with Caleb Williams, who's getting a big deal through name, image, and likeness. And he's going to be coached by Lincoln Riley, and he's going to make $1 million.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
And kids will say this at the end of these negotiations. It was never about the money. It was never about the money. It was about being in the right place for me and my family. And when they say that, of course, it's about the money.
Well, they say it right after they get out of their not that expensive of a car, maybe a nice BMW. It's not a Lamborghini, it's not a Bugatti, but it's a nice Beamer or a nice Merc. They got a nice Mercedes Benz. They jump out and they go, this was not about the money at all.
And let's face it, Nebraska has benefited from it.
Oh, absolutely.
I think the overwhelming majority of the people that text us on the text line, the Sutter Heyman text line, the Honda of Lincoln hotline, love to hear from you, 464-5685, are against name, image, and likeness. But Nebraska is benefiting. There's no way Casey Thompson is potentially Nebraska's quarterback next season if it weren't for name, image, and likeness. I mean, he's one of the guys that, hey, it's better here than it was Texas. There's no way that O'Shawn Mathis, the transfer from Texas Tech, was it? TCU, sorry, would be here if it weren't for name, image, and likeness. There's no way that Kane Williams, the Alabama transfer, would be on the roster if it weren't for name, image, and likeness. I mean, and they all say it's not that big of a deal. I love the love I was showing. I was shown by Nebraska and the people that I met while I was there. Well, it helps when they also write you a big check.
It does. And Marcus Washington, former teammate of Casey Thompson, was in town this weekend. He would be a 2022 receiver to be added to the mix. Trey Palmer, of course, is already here.
Now, do they really need another receiver? It was like Kane Williams last week when they got him. I thought, that's great, but they now have 17 defensive backs on the roster.
I don't know if and I'll take him. Whatever. More power to the young man if he's going to come here and play for Nebraska. Nothing that I have seen released anywhere where he did, commit anywhere or make a decision or a timetable on a decision. I know it's going to be coming relatively quickly because, he needs to get enrolled in summer classes and get on campus, et cetera, wherever he's going to go.
Yeah. But I understand. If this is the first year of Scott Frost, there's no way they're signing 12, 13, 14 dudes out of the transfer portal, even if name, image, and likeness is humming in his first year. I just don't think that's happening. Now, obviously, he sees the fact that he's got to get to 6. He's got to get to 6. And whatever it takes to get to 6, he's going to do it.
Breaking news. Do you want to do breaking news or do you want me to do breaking news?
No, you can do breaking news. Dun, 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 dun. I don't have the breaking news sound.
All righty. Well, news broke. I want to fix it. Justin Thomas is the 2022 PGA Tournament champion.
Well, we said it. You looked at that leaderboard and you thought, none of these other guys have won. Justin Thomas has.
Yep.
He was the one guy on the leaderboard. Scotty Scheffler didn't even make the cut. He's the number one player in the world. Obviously, Tiger withdrew, but he was never going to win this championship. It was Justin Thomas, the one that hung around. Jordan Spieth was there for a minute or two in the early stages of this.
Well, and Rory this morning went on a tear, got to 4 under, and then he birdies 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then doesn't have another birdie the rest of the day. And I think he wound up the tournament at 1 under. But I thought, if it was going to be somebody that was going to post a score, I thought Rory would have been the guy that was going to post a 5 under to possibly give the guys something to shoot at. But ultimately, Justin Thomas is the now 2-time major champion. He's now won 2 PGA tournament championships. The other one was 2017, if I remember right. Yeah. And that's the bottom line, though. You in order for these guys to win, there is a lot between the ears that happens, and it takes days like today for Mito Pereira to learn what not to do.
Do you see anybody? I mean, Justin Thomas doesn't seem like that guy. I mean, none of these guys are the next Tiger Woods. None of these guys have the charisma of Phil Mickelson.
No.
They're all extremely talented, but it feels like there's a new number one every week, right? Justin Thomas will be number one in 2 weeks. Scotty Scheffler is now.
DJ,
John
Rahm.
Yeah, John Rahm. It just seems like it changes all the time, and none of those guys are guys that I necessarily root for. I mean, even Justin Thomas. I mean, it's fine.
Yeah,
he's fine. He's great. But he's a country club kid, and it's not a Tiger Woods type story. It's not a Phil. Even though Phil was a country club kid, he just had the it factor. And he also had the rivalry with Tiger, because either you were a Phil guy or a Tiger guy. I don't see anybody, certainly on this leaderboard this weekend, that could take the mantle and be the next Jack Nicklaus, be the next Arnold Palmer, be the next Tiger Woods.
And that's my question, though. I followed golf since the first time I swung a club at 6 years old, and I wanted to be the next Jack Nicklaus. When that was right near the end of Palmer's career, and I was going with the guy that was up and coming, and then the year after I graduate, Nicklaus wins the Masters at 45 years old, and it was unbelievable, and I'm just blown away. And I still have the love for the game, and I like to watch, but I like it when there is a guy, whether you cheer for them or against them, that is one that is just always going to be in the mix. And, Koepka was it for a couple of years, but not sustained. JT briefly in 18 as well, after he won the PGA in 17, but then he kind of fell off in majors and wasn't a contender. Hell, Ricky Fowler was a guy that finished like in the top 5 in 4 or 5 straight majors 3 or 4 years ago. And he hasn't made a cut, or he's only made the cut in like 4 of his tournaments this year.
Right.
He did this weekend, though. He did wind up 1 or 2 over for the championship, but good for him. Ricky's one of those guys too that he's a guy I root for.
I would root for if Ricky Fowler were the number 1 player in the world. If he had just won today, I'm all in.
Oh, we'd be high-fiving.
Ricky is still one of the most popular players on tour. He has an it, and he started wearing the orange you'd see all the little kids, the 10-year-olds show up in Ricky Fowler outfits.
Yep.
But he's never really ascended to the level that we thought he could be. And so he's not going to be the next Jack Nicklaus or Tiger Woods. I mean, it's already kind of been decided. If he hasn't taken the mantle by now, he's not going to.
No.
But I just don't know. There's nobody I really root for. And I wish that were the case, that I had a guy that like a Tiger Woods that I could, or a Jack Nicklaus that I could root for. I do want to talk some Husker hoops.
Absolutely. Because we were just talking about name, image, and likeness. How much did that play into Emmanuel Bandamel coming to Nebraska?
Well, let's talk about it. We'll do it coming up next on the Sunday Rewind.
Hey, sports fans. Rico here with HIS Auto Care 70th and Van Dorn. Carfax recently awarded us as a top-rated auto service center for 2020, and Lincoln Choice Awards voted us as the 2021 top independent auto repair center. Call us at 402-488-8934 for superior service bumper to bumper. Mention this ad and get 7% off. Doesn't get any better than that. Rico for his Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
This is Dan Friedman. Between 2010 and 2019, distracted driving caused more than 40,000 car crashes in Nebraska, resulting in over 14,000 severe injuries and deaths. Please keep your eyes on the road. If you have a smartphone, put it away while you're behind the wheel. It will help keep our community safe and secure. This message is brought to you by Friedman Law Offices, helping injured people. It's what we do. It's all we do. Find us at friedmanlaw.com today.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric always makes safety a top priority for our home and office. In under just 1 hour, their team installed the state-of-the-art air scrubber system directly into our existing HVAC ductwork. This technology purifies the air and reduces exposure to common bacteria and viruses, creating a safer breathing environment for my family. Action delivers honest quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
Nominations for the Serve Nebraska Step Forward Awards are now open. Volunteers are making Nebraska communities stronger every day. Help us celebrate their hard work by nominating the volunteers in your life. The Step Forward Awards are the most prestigious awards for volunteerism in the state, and honorees are hand-selected by Nebraska's governor. Learn more about the Step Forward Awards and submit a nomination by July 1st at serve.nebraska.gov. Paid for by Serve Nebraska. Aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
You know you want that smoky, tangy, sweet, and spicy sauced and tossed Wingstop. But you just brought a haul of groceries home from the store. It's cool. No one expects you to shop and cook in the same day. So let the flavor experts at Wingstop hook you up with mouth-watering wings, crispy tenders and thighs, fries and sides delivered to your door. You can always cook tomorrow. That's why the fridge was invented. Get it delivered at wingstop.com.
Order online now from the new Wingstop, located at 5001 O Street. Another packed summer sports season means it's time to get to N Street Drive-In to fill up on all your beverage needs. Stop by for great deals on May's Beer of the Month for Boulevard Brewing, Tallgrass Brewing, and Glacial Till Ciders. Also, make sure to download the new N Street Drive-In app to order online and to set up delivery right to your front door. And don't forget their top-notch Crowler fill system. N Street Drive-In, your one-stop beverage stop at 1801 O Street.
Back to the Sunday Rewind with Tom and Mike.
That's old school.
Yeah?
No school like the old school.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
No school like the old school. It's like somebody's saying we're old, Tom.
Well, we are, Mike. I'm sorry to deliver that breaking news.
Man.
It's official. We're old. Honey, I'm old. That's a line.
Alrighty, it is the Sunday Rewind. I'm Mike Melby. That's Tom Stevens. We're right here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Nebraska Hoops this week on Tuesday landed Emmanuel Bandamel, a senior guard transfer, 6'4", 180. Averaged about 10.5 points, 3.5 rebounds, shot 35% from three. He's a mean defender. He came from SMU, but he'll play his senior season at Nebraska. And we got another transfer in this year, Juwan Gary, who is also a pretty mean defender. Tom, I want to know your thoughts on Nebraska basketball heading into the season with those two, plus Sam Griesel, and then the rest of the gang that has been here for a while, and the freshman class coming in with kind of that focus on some defensive transfers. Do you think Fred is changing styles a little bit?
It feels like something's going on here. He's 6'4", 180, started all 33 games for SMU, averaged 10.6 a game, shot 36% from three-point range. So those are all good things that would fit in with what Fred likes to do. But interesting comments from Hoiberg when he signed this class. He said, in Sam Griesel, Juwan Gary, and Emmanuel, I think we've added 3 players from the portal that can help us defensively with their length and size. When was the last time you heard Hoiberg talk defense on anything? I mean, other than to maybe kind of placate the fans who criticized his team for not playing great defense. But I think there's something to this. Adam Howard, his new assistant to replace Matt Abdelmassi, has a defensive background on top of a really good, solid recruiting background. It comes from South Alabama. But it feels like they've added some wings with length. You got Bandamel 6'4", you got Gary 6'6", and can play maybe a wing or even a 4 if you want him to. And then you got Griesel, who's 6'6", who can play point or an off guard, or probably any of the 3 positions up top at the guard position that you would want.
Do you remember Tim Miles last year with Isaiah Roby and that 1-3-1 zone that he did?
Right.
I mean,
they're talking about playing zone this coming year.
Well, and that's the thing is the new assistant coach. He is a guru at zone defense, and
I like
his matchup zone is unbelievable. So,
well, here's what I love about the zone. Syracuse is one of those teams that I immediately think of, because not everybody plays a full-time zone. And I don't think Nebraska will play full-time zone. But Syracuse has for years, and then once they get to the tournament, they're just a beast because you haven't seen it. If you're in their league, you're better off. In the ACC, you maybe learn how to defeat the zone, but once you get in the NCAA tournament, you haven't seen it all year because there's not a lot of teams that do it really well. It can be a big problem. So I think that's a nice addition. We'll see if it's completely done for Nebraska basketball as far as recruiting is concerned. I mean, this means that with Vandemel here, Trey McGowan's is not coming back. Latman is not coming back. They're already 2 over if those guys stay. So I'm guessing, not that I feel bad for Trey McGowan's, he's going to make some money, I think, at the next level. I think he can play in the G League or play in Europe and be fine, or just, be an agent for his brother and be good. But it'll be interesting to see what Nebraska does. But I like this roster going forward. Yeah, it's not loaded with big-time Trey McGowan or Bryce McGowan's type players. You don't have a top 50 types player on this roster, I don't believe, but you have a lot of really good, solid players.
The one guy that I guess to me is the most intriguing amongst the bunch of newcomers coming into Nebraska basketball this year is Blaise Keita. He's a guy that I think he can make a huge impact and a big difference. You already had Derek Walker, who shot 60 some odd percent from the field last year. I think it broke a Nebraska single season record. But you get Derek some help. You allow him to focus on what he is really good at. And you've got Keita that can take over doing some of the rebounding, doing the rim protecting. Walker rebounded.
I hope they play them together. I hope
too.
they play them together, and Walker at the 4.
Yeah.
And Keita at the 5.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll do that. But if you're playing a zone, that would fit in with, because now maybe the 5-out philosophy that Fred had kind of built his life on and his system on, maybe that's not as much of the game plan going forward as we're talking about maybe a game, a different type of style of play for Nebraska basketball.
That could be, but the one thing that stood out to me this since the season ended and all the transfers and all that, Baylor Shireman, who went to Creighton ultimately, made a comment. His system works when the players run it right.
Right.
Like insinuating we did not run it right this last year, which I think we all kind of know there was some issues. Regardless, when that system is run properly and guys are feeding the post and they're feeding off of each other and they're finding open spaces and finding the open look and not dribbling for 27 seconds of a shot clock. Right. When the ball moves, that offense works. But you got to play defense regardless. And I think the addition of a couple of the players in the transfer portal is really going to help them out.
I'm excited about, I always am. I'm cautiously excited about Nebraska basketball.
Same here.
Let's face it. Hoiberg is in a similar situation that Scott Frost is. You got to get not to the NCAA tournament. I don't think that's what they're demanding, but I do think, be 500 or get to the NIT or not just try to win more than 7 or 8 games. I think those are some of the things. That's the reason you make the changes that they did. Both in football and basketball, that he fired a couple assistant coaches. Doc Sadler was his guy for a long, long period of time. Matt Abdelmassi was Hoiberg's guy. And for him to go away from that signals that not desperation, but certainly win or go home, wherever home might be next for Fred Hoiberg.
Exactly. I got a question. Trivia time real quick for you, Tom.
All right.
Who's the best punter in Nebraska football history?
Sam Cooke, right?
Not
the singer, Sam Cooke. He never played for Nebraska football, but he was a good singer. Sam Cooke played 16 years in the NFL. He just retired this week.
Yeah, Baltimore Ravens punter, and he's kind of credited with a lot of people that know special teams with changing the way the game is played on special teams during punts because he figured out different angles to put his leg. He would throw his leg to the left. He'd kick the ball to the right, vice versa. He had, I believe it was 14, 15, 16 different styles of punts that he perfected depending on weather conditions and time and score. And then him and Justin Tucker, I think you said it before the show started, they may be the best pairing of punter / kick holder and place kicker in the history of the NFL.
Seriously. And by the way, Sam Cooke held for all but one of those. He also has another interesting stat. He had the best pass percentage of all time because he was 7 of 8 on fake punts, throwing the football, which has to be the greatest of all time, especially for a punter. And as we mentioned, he's now becoming a consultant. He's going to be with the Ravens still, I think, going forward as a consultant, but easily the best tandem that I can think of, punting and kicking.
Yeah. Do you know that he was also their backup emergency quarterback? He was the number 3 guy that would have.
No,
yeah,
really?
Yep. Yeah.
Wow. DP, of course, who owns the station, used to laugh at me all the time when I said Nebraska was kind of kicker U and punter U at one time, but they really were. You think back to some of the great, and it's now killing Nebraska that they don't have great punters and kickers, and they're getting punts and kicks blocked all the time, or they're just missing kicks.
Yep.
But man, it would be nice to have an Alex Henry, to have a Sam Cook, to have a Brett Maher,
Josh Brown, Chris Brown.
I mean, yeah, they had one kicker after another for a long period of time, and now they just haven't.
No, they have not. We had a new segment that I think we're going to try. Are we getting down to about crunch time to try the new segment?
Let's do it. It's called Get Off My Lawn.
Get off my lawn.
We pick one athlete every week that we want to get off our lawn. Who are you going to go with?
I'm going Phil Mickelson. Phil, dude, you won at 50 last year, celebrated peak of your career, possibly. You made a bunch of boneheaded statements, and your reaction was, when you got negative feedback, was to play the victim, blame other people, and have a very tiny bit of empathy towards anybody that you affected, and then you just run and hide. You should have shown up, face the damn tough questions, move on with your life, and get over it. But you don't want to. So you know what? Get off my lawn.
I'm going to go with Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban.
Get off my lawn.
You know what? Two guys complaining. It's like, you know what? I got the most beautiful wife in the world, but I just don't get how these two guys can be complaining about, getting, in this Nick Saban's case, the second-ranked class in the country. And Jimbo Fisher, you signed five stars. And, a couple of the things upset you that Nick Saban said about it. Both of them can just go away for a while and think about how good they have it, because they really have it good.
That they do. And, the other thing is, last time I checked, it's all legal. I mean, I guarantee you they found the loophole at A&M to make sure that the school was not tied to any of the money that was promised the recruits that came in. It's all legal, Nick.
Yeah, well, it is, and it does feel like legal cheating, though, doesn't it? A little bit.
Yeah,
it's legalized cheating, and I think we all know it. Nick Saban has since apologized a little bit for some of the things he said, but he doesn't really care what Jimbo Fisher thinks about him, and Jimbo Fisher doesn't really care about Nick Saban and what he thinks about it. We're leaving. Hey, It's been fun. Let's do it again next week. It's called the Sunday Rewind. We do want to promote Nebraska Gems, because that is coming soon, and we'll talk more about that down the road. Bye-bye, everybody.
See ya.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
They say one great thing leads to another. And that's especially true when you visit a Great Clips salon. When you sit down for a haircut with the skilled and friendly stylist at one of our thousands of convenient Great Clips locations, they'll not only make your hair look great, they'll make you feel great too. And that's something you can't help but share with the world. Download our online check-in app today and opt in to get a Ready Next text when you're up next. Great Clips. It's going to be great.
Well, I'm an interior designer. A lot of builders don't have designers on staff. I'm included with our Aspen package and can make your home more custom to your taste, your needs, and your wants.
Rachel's our interior designer at Aspen Builders. She's one of the reasons that makes us really good at what we do. I'm Bob Benish, and we absolutely love how Rachel takes care of our clients.
I think the biggest challenge with building is a lot of clients are worried about all the choices. When they come in,